Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my November wrap up. I can't believe we're already in December. Time is flying and I'm actually really pleased with how my reading month went for November. I finished, I believe, 7 books, so I'm going to go through all of them with you guys today and give you a little summary, my thoughts and opinions, and of course my rating for the book. So we're going to get started with the first book that I read this month. So I also have my bullet journal here just so I can recall all the notes I made and my rating and all that fun stuff. So the first book I finished in the month of November was City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. This is a middle grade kind of ghost story, and I read this the beginning of November because I wasn't ready for Halloween to be over and I hadn't really read any spooky books, so I decided to pick this up, and it was a really short, quick middle grade. I believe it's only about 300 pages, just under 300 pages. And I really enjoyed this for what it was. I don't believe I've ever read a middle grade. And so this was my first introduction into it. And I really enjoyed what it was about. So we are following Cass, and she had a near-death experience, and after that she is able to see ghosts, including her best friend. And Cass's parents are paranormal investigators of a sort. They have a show surrounding it. I know they write books about it, and they get the opportunity to do like a docu-series, and their first trip on their tour is to Edinburgh, Scotland. I believe I said that right. I know in my October TBR I think I pronounced it Edinburgh. I'm pretty sure it's Edinburgh. Edinburgh? I'm not too sure. I really enjoyed this for middle grade. I loved Cass. I thought it was such a cute, fun, lighthearted, spooky read. Well, lighthearted, but also I felt like at times it was super lighthearted and youthful, juvenile. I don't want to say juvenile because that sounds like it's immature, but just very young. It was really cute, and then at other points I felt like, oh my gosh, this is really serious. So I definitely enjoyed this for the month and to kind of have a last ditch effort for some spooky reads, and I did end up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. There were a couple aspects about it that I had problems with, but I think a lot of that was revolved around the fact that it is a middle grade and it's not my typical genre. I'm 20, so it just doesn't really fit for my age demographic. But besides that, I really enjoyed it. I do believe, since it was following a docu-series, that Victoria Schwab has set it up for there to be another book with other cities, and I would definitely read if there was another book about Cass. The next book was Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This was Leigh Bardugo's debut into the adult world, and this is an adult fantasy, kind of science fiction, but not really. It's just an adult fantasy, I'd say, and I really liked it. There are definitely content warnings for sexual assault, death. I'm trying to think of other ones, bullying, just a lot of different things. I didn't think it was going to be as difficult to get through as it was. I did listen to this audibly, which I really enjoyed it, and I think it helped me get through it faster. I think I would not have enjoyed it as much if I had to physically read it as I did listening to it on audiobook. And I just really enjoy and appreciate Leigh Bardugo's style of writing. Because this was adult, I feel like the way Leigh Bardugo goes about thinking, even for her YA, is very adult thinking. I am gonna try and keep my Six of Crows Crooked Kingdom rant to a minimum, even though I absolutely love the duology. If you have read Six of Crows, then you know Leigh Bardugo's roundabout, convoluted, take you this way but then take you that way of thinking. and I really enjoy it. It's so entertaining to witness and acts as a really good like book hangover. But I just feel like with this one, I don't know if I'm just like mentally not in the right like frame to read it, or maybe because I did listen to it audibly, it was a little bit harder to follow along with. But I just felt like it was very like, whoa, like conspiratorial, which that's what it's supposed to be, I feel like. But I never went to college, so I don't really know how like uni works. I have nothing of knowledge about the secret societies until I did pick up this, and it is based off of Yale's legitimate secret societies, so very interesting. With all that being said, I did give it 4 to 5 stars because I really did enjoy it. There are like, I'll kind of try and give a brief synopsis. We are following Alex Stern, and she is like Yale's most unexpected freshman, and she goes to Yale and is like inducted into the 9th house, which kind of presides over the other secret societies and kind of monitors them in a way to make sure they're not acting out of line. And there is a girl who is murdered. I believe it's outside of campus. I don't think it's actually inside the campus, but there is some rumors going around that it might be connected to one of the other 8 secret societies. So as part of this 9th house, this presiding like house, she has to kind of investigate it a little bit further, and that's like the main mystery we're following in this book. I really enjoyed. I have hopes and wishes for the next book, and I'm sure they won't be met, but a girl can dream, and I am dreaming when it comes to the next book in the 9th house series, which I don't even know what it's going to be called. Not too sure, but listened to it audibly, gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I'm now looking at my like notes, and this was a very like average, like 4 to 3 month. The next book I read was Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is a book told in verse. So I would have thought it would have taken me pretty quickly to get through it. It's just under 400 pages, but it took me a little bit longer to digest. Essentially in this, we are following Camino and Yaira, and both of these girls unknowingly share a father. And after their father passes in a plane crash, both of these girls are unknowing of each other on, you know, different places in the world, and they're trying to deal with the grief of losing their father. With all that being said, I enjoyed it. It was just very average to me. It didn't stick out as a book that I would want to read again. It didn't stick out as a book that is going to be like continued, because it was very like final in the content of the book. I don't think there will be a sequel to Clap When You Land. I'm not sure, but I don't think there will be. And it just wasn't my favorite. I really did like it. The book is split, so half we are set with Camino in the Dominican Republic, and the other half we are with Yaira in New York City. So I liked the duality of that, kind of seeing both lifestyles, how both of these girls could have, you know, sharing a father, but they both lived such different lives, especially because they did not know of each other. They didn't know that their father had another child. But it just wasn't my favorite. It was just very average. That's how I'm explaining it. It was definitely pulling on the heartstrings in some points, because we are dealing with grief. There is the loss of a father in this book, and there's also like betrayal. It's just a very like different take on the grieving process, because with the grieving process they're dealing with uncovered secrets as well. So with that being said, I did give this 3 out of 5 stars. Again, that's a very average rating. Actually, if we're gonna be honest, 2.5 stars is like a very like half average rating. So as 3 stars, I liked it a little bit more than that. Also, the book Naked is beautiful. And this kind of like, again, reflects on the duality of it. So this is supposed to be the Dominican and this is supposed to be New York. I really, really enjoyed that. The next book I finished reading was A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. This is a Hades and Persephone retelling, reimagining, whatever you want to call it. I liked this. I think I did briefly mention my obsession with Hades and Persephone in my December, or my book haul from last week. I was looking for a really, really good Hades and Persephone retelling. I read The Goddess Test by Amy Carter earlier this year, didn't like it. If you want to hear why I don't like it, you can go watch my bookish haul from last week. But I really, really enjoyed this. It was more on the same level as Lore Olympus, which is like my standard for Hades and Persephone retelling. If anybody knows of a Hades and Persephone retelling that is like so close to Lore Olympus, please let me know. I absolutely love that. I wish the girl who actually like writes Lore Olympus for webtoon, I wish she would come out with a graphic novel like set. I think that would be so good, but I do think that there is the issue of like marketing with it, because I think webtoon owns the rights now to Lore Olympus. She just has to continue. I don't know how that works, but I really, really, really enjoyed Scarlett St. Clair's depiction, reimagining of it, as opposed to Amy Carter's. With that being said, I am reading the second book in the series right now, and I think that this one ranks higher than the other one. It's A Touch of Ruin by Scarlett St. Clair is the second book, and then there is the next book coming out is like A Touch of Malice. That is the third book in the series. I need to finish Touch of Ruin to see where it's gonna go and to see if I'll continue on with The Touch of Malice, but this definitely is right now ranking higher than A Touch of Ruin. And it came in at 4 stars because, again, it's all relative to like Hades and Persephone. So if Lore Olympus is at the top, Goddess Test was like lower than a 4. So I feel like this is a very comfortable rating for it. The next book I finished in the month of November literally took me a day to finish. It is How the King of Elfham Learned to Hate Stories by Holly Black. If you did see my bookish haul, I hauled this and said that I had ordered another edition of it. Hold. It came in the mail from the Owl Crate. This is the Owl Crate exclusive edition of How the King of Elfham Learned to Hate Stories. I have the papers tucked inside, but it has beautiful end pages. And I don't think I've ever seen a book more beautiful. This is very reminiscent to me of how Fairy Loot just did the Kingdom of the Wicked book, but it's got like the foiled actual book, and then obviously we've got a stunning image of Cardan. I wanted to show that because I didn't get to show it in the haul. It literally came the day after I filmed it, which is whatever, but I have 2 of them now, which, considering that I have 2 copies of all the other books, I'm not surprised. I gave this 5 stars, or no, I gave this 4 stars, sorry. I gave this 4 to 5 stars. I really did rate it as high as I did because of nostalgia purposes. Cruel Prince, the Folk of the Air trilogy is what got me into reading YA fantasy. It's what set my love for YA fantasy. It's one of my favorite stories. I've read and reread it. I had certain hopes and expectations going into what I thought this Cardan novella was going to bring. And they weren't all answered. The book is marketed as a novella told entirely from Cardan's perspective, and we are getting insight onto why he is so hateful in The Cruel Prince, why he is the cruel prince that he is, and then we are supposed to get insight on scenes from Cruel Prince, Wicked King, and the Queen of Nothing, and then how things go on after the Queen of Nothing. That is what this was marketed as by Holly Black. So, with that being said, I went into it with certain expectations of hearing certain scenes told from Cardan's perspective. We really only got one scene from Cardan's perspective, which pains me to say that. Like, I had such high hopes. I was so excited about this book. Not to say it takes away from my love for the series, it just wasn't fulfilling. It didn't give me what I wanted. So with that being said, it would be like a 2-star because it disappointed me, but I was still so happy to be back in the world, and the art was so beautiful. Like, just to get another taste of Elfham, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So hate me if you want for it, but it just wasn't, it wasn't giving me all I wanted. It took a little bit different of a direction plot-wise. Like we are, instead, it became into like another adventure, but I didn't want an adventure. I wanted to know when, you know, some of the most iconic scenes in the Folk of the Air series were going on, and we got to hear how Jude was feeling and how she was a bad bitch, you know. I wanted to hear Carden's perspective on it, and we get a little bit of insight into it. I'm not saying there's none, it's just not to the extent I was hoping of. And of course, when a book is hyped up for so long, well, in my mind it was hyped up for so long because from the minute she announced the Carden novella, I was like, oh my god, so excited. It didn't live up to my expectations, and that I think is a really hard, it's a hard thing, especially when you have such a wide range of fans of a certain trope or a certain series. I think that can be difficult. So I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Should I have given it 4 out of 5 stars? Probably not, but it was already put in the bullet journal, so I can't change it. It's not my rules, not my rules. Okay, so the next book is an ebook I'm going to talk about really quickly, so I don't actually have a physical copy. Sorry, not sorry. And that is Beautiful Bastard by Christina Lauren. Oh, that's Christine Riccio. Sorry, I was thinking about Again But Better too, but that's a completely different author. Christina Lauren, she wrote the Beautiful series. So, Beautiful Bastard, I gave 3 out of 5 stars. Why? I enjoyed it. I did like it. The one thing is it's kind of forgettable because I've already forgotten about it. We are following Chloe, who is the assistant of this guy named Bennett. He's a hot CEO, whatever, that whole trope. And it's just like that typical, sorry, my shirt is riding up. It's just that typical like assistant CEO trope, which I'm kind of getting out of because I don't like it that much anymore. I'm just kind of over it. I want a book where it's a female CEO. Also, I think I'm getting to the point where I'm like, that's an abuse of power. Like, I'm finally realizing that. It's still fun to sometimes, like, still read it and get over it, but I don't know. It just wasn't that great. I think this was also my second time reading it because I tend to reread romance a lot, and it just didn't do it for me, so there's that. But I did enjoy it while I was in the moment. It was just very, like, it was kind of creepy at moments too. Like, this is a mature adult romance. There's like so with that being said, I'm gonna say something kind of gross, I don't know, but there's just a part in the book that has to do with like underwear hoarding, which gives me the heebie-jeebies. I don't know, I think that the way she made the main guy go about it too was just so creepy, but it honestly wasn't that bad. There's another romance book that we're gonna get to that makes it worse, so it's fine, you know? The next book is another physical, well, I have the physical book, but I listened to it audibly, and I highly recommend you do too, and that's going to be The Night Swim by Megan Golden. So I listened to this audibly. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I loved this. We're gonna set it here so I don't have to hold the book anymore while I proceed to talk about it. But Night Swim. I loved this book. So if you guys don't know, I'm really into true crime. I have been for a while. I love listening to true crime podcasts. When I was doing my Spooked Saturday series, I was even more immersed into true crime podcasts and research about it, and I just find it very interesting. I've always found it fascinating, just the way I like it, I don't know. So The Night Swim is the story of a true crime podcaster named Rachel Croft. And she is getting into her 3rd season of her podcast called Guilty or Not Guilty. And her first season was like a smash hit. In it, she like uncovered evidence that released an innocent man from prison. Her second season, she did something else that I forgot about. And then the 3rd season, she's like, well, I gotta step it up a notch. So her and her producer decide that for this 3rd season, they are going to cover an active trial, which is something that like nobody has done before. And she's gonna do it. So the trial that we are following is the accused rape of a high school girl, I believe she's about 16, by a college? I think he's in college. We're just gonna call him a collegiate swimmer because I can't quite remember if he's in high school or not. I definitely think he's an adult. So Rachel is covering this rape trial, and I think the way that Megan Golden talked about it was, first of all, really well done. Obviously, content warnings for sexual assault, rape, death, the whole nine. It is a rape trial. There were just points in the book that I really, really liked the way that it was talked about. And that sounds weird to say I like the way she talked about rape, but it's not so much of the actual assault itself, because that is it was very difficult to listen to, but more so the way that the narrator addresses victim blaming, I thought was really, really well done. And what I mean by that, there are a couple points in the book. Two that I say would stand out the most is at one point the narrator is like covering as the trial begins and says, you know, we have such a hard time when it comes to victim blaming, and she goes ahead to say, you would never look at the victim of a school shooting and ask them, well, why didn't you go to school that day? Because it's something that you wouldn't do. Yet when it comes to somebody in a sexual assault case or a rape case, people are always saying, well, if only you didn't walk alone at night. Well, if only you didn't wear this. Well, if only you weren't asking for it, as opposed to saying, well, if only they did not rape the victim. So I really liked the way it just makes it so much easier to grasp. I feel like it's still such, for some reason, a debatable subject in our society. Another point that they make is everybody can admit that murder is wrong, but for some reason rape is such a gray area when it comes to talking about it. And I think that's a really great way to put it, and I really liked the way they went about it, talking about the victim blaming. So Rachel is also approached with another case from like 30 years prior. So we kind of hear from Rachel, we get podcast episodes. We're also hearing about this case from 30 years ago that had gone cold. It is such a good audiobook to listen to. I highly recommend, if you are looking into the night swim, pick it up on audio. Since there are podcast episodes, it's really well told and narrated as a podcast or as an audiobook. And I loved it. I enjoyed it. It went by really quickly. I listened to it while I was cleaning. So it just went by really smoothly and I really enjoyed it. With that being said, please go into it with like foreknowledge. It is about a rape trial. So if you could find that to be triggering or disturbing, please go into the book with that in mind. But with it being said, I really enjoy how the discussion of victim blaming was brought up. So it got 5 stars. I really, really liked it. Probably gonna talk about it a couple more times this year, but I figured I would mention that. And the final book we have is another ebook, and that is going to be Dirty Little Secret by Kendall Ryan. Again, I don't have it physically here to show you, but what the French toast. I gave this 3 stars. I was being generous. I think it's definitely a 2-star read. Also, sorry about the lighting. It's kind of the sun setting. But it's definitely a 2-star book. So, and I like to say that over the past, God, like 6-7 years, I've read a lot of adult romance, borderline erotica. We're not going to get into it. But I've read a lot, and for the most part, there's sex in the books, but it's not the overarching like plot line. For example, I really, really like Megan March as an author. If you guys haven't checked her out, I would highly recommend it. I pretty much read all of her books on an e-reader, so I don't have any of them physically. That's why you never see them on my shelves. But I think that would maybe be a cool video to do, like what's on my e-shelves. That sounds kind of stupid when I say it out loud. But anyways, I really like her stories because the plot isn't sex, it's something else. And then intertwined is the romance. And then obviously with the romance, there's sex because they're humans. Kendall Ryan. I really like a lot of her books. I like her as an author. I believe she just came out with her first male-male romance. Pretty excited about that one. I can't remember if it is her, so it might be somebody else. Editing me will throw it out there. But I really appreciate that about her. But this book, oh my god, everything came back to sex. Literally everything. That's the only note I made was overtly sexual, especially for an adult romance, and then I put I'm disappointed. Just because I really like it when a book can delve deeper into some like plot line, such as Megan March's books, where it's like there's been like the CEO billionaire trope, the like pirate at sea trope, the like undercover agent trope. Like there are just so many different like, I don't know how to explain it. Anyways, not my favorite, Dirty Little Secret. I am reading Dirty Little Promise, which is the second book, but that's more because I like to disappoint myself. And I also needed something to read on my e-reader. Hello, it's Editing Georgia. I'm also currently doing a weekly reading vlog, so check that out when it's up to hear more of my thoughts on this. But I just wanted to say really quickly, another thing I didn't mention for Dirty Little Secret and why I disliked it so much is I'm well aware that like degradation is a thing in the adult community, we're gonna say that. But I can like stand it to a certain extent, especially with like certain after steps. Anyways, but one of the things that grosses me out the most is when men refer to women as pet. Fuck. So gross. It really bothers me. I don't know why, but some internal part of me is like, call me a pet and I'll bite your ass like a pet. Like, I don't like it. I don't like it. So, I'm saying that because in my reading vlog, I just finished reading Kingdom of the Wicked. One of the, like, demons things, whatever they're called, calls the main girl pet as well. And it bothers me so much. And that, like, that alone, then again, pet was only said, like, 4 times in this book. I'm fine with. I can't even tell you. We're gonna look up how many times the word pet is said in this book. 15 times. He calls her pet. After the first time, I would have been gone. I don't know. Is that something that people like? Because I could definitely imagine losing my shit if somebody called me pet. Not for it. So, I just wanted to pop in and say that because it still haunts me to this day. I actually haven't read Dirty Little Promise yet. I'm 10% of the way in through it, and I've just been reading more fulfilling things as opposed to this bullshit. But anyways, sorry. I don't call me pet. Don't call somebody else pet. I don't like it. Kind of skeeves me out. So, yeah. And then I was also trying to explain that one of the main reasons I read so much romance on my, like, phone, whether it's iBooks or, like, on my iPad, is because I really like reading romance, like, in that format. I don't think I've ever read a physical copy of romance. When it comes to high fantasy or true crime, well, true crime I like audio, but when it comes to something super high fantasy or sci-fi, I like to have a physical book to follow along, and I feel like I understand it better. I don't know, but that was just me popping in to say, don't call people pet, please. Thank you. So, those were the, I believe, 8, 9, 7, 6, who knows how many books that I've read in the month of November. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Let me know if you also read any of the books that I did in the month of November, and if you did, let me know down below what your thoughts on them were, if we had any of the same opinions, if we had vastly differing opinions. I'm down to know. So that is going to be it for this video. If you haven't checked out my December TBR to see what I am currently reading for the month of December, I would highly suggest you guys check that one out. But I think that's going to be it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you guys are all staying safe and having a great day, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.